The warning beacon pulsed through the void of space, its message broadcasting on all known frequencies in 17 different languages. Captain Zexhai of the pirate vessel. Bloodclaw studied the transmission with his 4 eyes, mandibles clicking in what his crew recognized as either amusement or annoyance. "Dear Pirate," and he read aloud, his translator rendering the human text into his native Vorthak. "A human is on board. For your own protection, turn around now. Signed, Captain Elena Vasquez, UES Meridian." The bridge erupted in chittering laughter. First Mate Quintar, a hulking Bruthan with scales that had turned gray from countless raids, slapped his massive hand against his thigh. "A human? One human? Captain, surely this is some kind of joke." Zexhai's secondary arms gestured dismissively. "The Meridian is a Class C cargo hauler. Our scans show minimal defensive capabilities. Whatever precious cargo they're protecting with this human will soon be ours." What the pirates didn't know was that the cargo ship's crew was already dead. 3 days earlier, the Meridian had responded to a distress call from a mining station in the Kepler 442 system. They'd found the station dark, its corridors filled with the acidic remains of a Zethai brood nest. The insectoid creatures had overrun the facility, turning it into a feeding ground. The rescue mission had become a nightmare when several of the creatures had stowed away on the ship. Elena Vasquez had been the only survivor. The Zethai had torn through her crew with surgical precision, their razor-sharp limbs and corrosive saliva making short work of standard body armor. Elena had watched her friends die, had held her navigator as the acid ate through his chest, had sealed herself in the cargo hold as the creatures finished their feeding frenzy. But the Zethai had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated what humans became when everything they cared about was stripped away. Now, as the Bloodclaw closed distance with the cargo vessel, Elena stood in the Meridian's corridor, surrounded by 17 dead Zethai. Their purple blood painted the walls in abstract patterns, and her improvised weapons, a plasma cutter, a gravity wrench, and her grandfather's combat knife, lay scattered around her feet. She'd been awake for 73 hours. Her jumpsuit was torn and stained. Her hands were raw from fighting, and her eyes held the peculiar emptiness that came from crossing a line that could never be uncrossed. The communication panel chimed. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Zexhai of the independent ship Bloodclaw. Prepare to be boarded. Surrender your cargo and no harm will come to your human." Elena almost smiled. She keyed the response. "Captain Zexhai, this is Elena Vasquez. I'm transmitting the security footage from the past 3 days. After you review it, you're welcome to dock. Bay 2 is open." 23 minutes later, the footage finished playing on the Bloodclaw's bridge. The silence stretched like a taut wire. The recording showed Elena's transformation from a standard cargo ship officer to something else entirely. They watched her fashion traps from gravity generators and coolant lines. They saw her use maintenance shafts to move through the ship like a ghost, picking off Zethai one by one. They witnessed her sit in the dark for hours, perfectly still, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But it was the final sequence that left the pirate crew stunned. Elena, covered in alien blood and human grief, had cornered the last 3 Zethai in the engine room. Instead of using her weapons, she had simply talked to them in their own clicking language, a language she'd apparently learned by listening to them hunt her crew. She'd told them about Earth, about humanity's history, about what her species did to things that threatened their pack. The Zethai, creatures that had terrorized entire systems, had backed away from her. "Captain," Quintar whispered, his voice barely audible. "The legends about humans. The stories from the Vega incident." Zexhai's 4 eyes remained fixed on the screen where Elena sat calmly in her captain's chair, cleaning alien viscera from under her fingernails with her grandfather's knife. "Just stories, Quintar. Propaganda to make humans seem more dangerous than they are." But even as he said it, he remembered the other tales. Humans who had walked into black holes to save their crews. Humans who had held the line against hive fleets with nothing but determination and improvised explosives. Humans who, when pushed beyond their breaking point, became something that made the universe's apex predators reconsider their life choices. The communication panel crackled again. "Captain Zexhai, I'm detecting your ship's weapon systems powering up." "That's unnecessary. I'm unarmed and alone. Come aboard and take what you want." Her voice was perfectly calm, almost conversational. It was the tone someone might use to discuss the weather. Zexhai found his hands trembling slightly as he reached for the controls. "All stop. Weapons down. Captain?" Quintar asked. New plan, Zexhai announced to his crew. We're leaving now. But the cargo, Zexhai interrupted, is not worth finding out what humans do to pirates. As the Bloodclaw began its retreat, Elena's final transmission reached them. Safe travels, Captain. And remember, we're usually much friendlier when our friends are still alive. The warning beacon continued its endless broadcast as both ships disappeared into the star-speckled darkness, carrying with it a simple truth that the galaxy was slowly learning. Humans, when they had something to lose, were dangerous. Humans, when they had already lost everything, were absolutely terrifying. And sometimes the smartest thing a pirate could do was exactly what Elena had suggested from the beginning. Turn around and fly away as fast as possible,